First of all, welcome. Thanks for taking the time to check out my videos. A few months ago, a viewer, Houston Firefox, generously donated a set of solar panels that he wasn't using anymore. So, thank you very much for that. He also has a YouTube channel, so be sure to check him out. He also has property out in this area, so we'll be seeing more of his videos soon. Some of my most watched videos were about the Harbor Freight panels. In those videos I made some racks to mount the panels out of regular 2x4s. But in case you haven't seen those, I'll go over the process of how I made the mounting racks and slightly modified the design for these newer, much bigger panels. When I get to the adjustment holes, I just transferred the measurements from the old racks and we're good to go. The second half of the video has a lot of wind noise, so rather than fighting with that, I just threw on some production music I bought a while back. Sorry, it's a long loop, and if it bugs you, well, sorry. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you are all doing well, and on with the show. 10:41 on the 18th of March. I walked in to grab some tools a few minutes ago. I came back out, stood at the door, and a bunny was just standing right there walking through, checking everything out. I'm like, dude, I was just there a second ago. They're getting not so afraid of me anymore. Alright, looks remarkably the same. So that's the charge controller. The black one is the one working. The white colored one is the new one, and this is the Harbor Freight inverter. I'm running off of it right now. They're both wired, so I could run either or both if I wanted to. I could run one cord off of each inverter. If they both ran at half load, I don't know, maybe that'd be better. So this shelf really makes access to the batteries a problem. Short term though, I measured it. I should be able to run the batteries this direction and still have enough room. So these are the Harbor Freight panels. And I'm going to copy the design of the rack here for the two new sets of panels that are going to be over there. I had 2x4 legs that go down into the ground. I use a post hole digger, just dig a hole. This bolt here is what it pivots from, and so to adjust for the different seasons, because the sun is never in the same place, we can loosen this up, take the bottom bolt out, and I don't think it's going to show up, but there's a series of holes. So right now we're in the winter position. The panels I'm building, it's just about time to switch to the spring position. So there's a hole here and then a hole up here. Somewhere up here. Okay, so these have already been used a couple times, so all I'll have to do is take the bolt out, lift the whole thing up, put the bolt in the new position, and then we're done. So when I got the new panels, I thought, well, let me just put these panels on the back row and new panels on the front row. That gives it some kind of symmetry. I'm going to check it for square. Got the big one, might as well use it. We should be pretty close now, but we're not. This is like my last 2x4. My plan is to go shopping here tomorrow and get some more boards. Yeah, that shows up. Rest on top of the clamps. Good. I'll leave myself some slack to where the hole is going to be, which is actually a little higher. Should work. Yeah, like that. This is where the hole is going to be. There. Whoa. I'll come back and add washers and nuts and everything, but This is a 3/8 bit for a 1/4 inch hole, so it's got a little bit of slack. It just makes everything so much easier to work with. The first bunch of these I drilled them all 1/4 inch, and they actually just almost threaded in. They were always just a little bit snug. Had to fight it. Alright, so for now I can just set that in there. Take the clamp out. It's got something to sit on now. Alright. These are 4-inch long bolts. I needed 3 inches just to cover the wood, so that gives me plenty of thread. You don't want to be too short, obviously. So I'm going to just lift this up till it's about level. I don't need this to be exactly level. Now, something I'm just realizing, the weight of these panels, these are a lot bigger than the Harbor Freight ones. This offcut that's sitting here, I'm going to use it for an extra brace. That's only clamped and it's almost halfway up. So there's a lot of unsupported weight out here. So I'm going to just clamp a board. So I got this board here clamped just to support this free end. The thing I absolutely try not to do is to drag all my tools out on a rainy day, and here we are. And the table saw. So, since it's cloudy and sort of rainy, I'll have to start the generator for this one. Alright, so what we made here, one of these is 5 inches wide, the other two are 3.5. The 5 inch is the one for the middle over here. So, 3.5 inch ones will go on the other side. But I should be able to use my 3/8 bit again, drill a hole that are 26 inches apart on center, get them on the same line, and my 1/4 inch bolts should fit within that. So I should be close enough to get them to drop in. So this piece will be screwed to the 2x4. That's my flange. My panel will sit on top of here. This is thin enough that I can get a bolt to get through it pretty easily. I'm going to do a confidence check here. These holes should be, or where I marked for the holes, should be 26 inches apart. That'll work. Okay, good. So what I realized, if I measured the panels 6 inches from the edge of the panel, and these boards should match the panel. So I got to mark 6 inches in. For the middle one, the holes end up being 3.5 inches apart. So I'm going to drill them all and then we'll try it out. And yeah, it looks like it's going to rain now. Alright, tools go back inside. Okay, when I buy hardware, I always buy like the 100 pack of everything if I at all possibly can. Those 4-inch bolts that we showed you out on the panels, I only bought 15 of those, and or maybe it was an even dozen. I think I knew I needed 4. I felt bad about not buying the whole 100. In fact, I picked up the box of 100. And it looked like it had been opened, so I wasn't sure it was full. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy that and pay more than you have to. All right. So what we're doing, I'm in here in the tinker shop, and I'm assembling these pieces to the panel. And it looks like we're hitting the marks, which is extremely gratifying. So shiny side out, like that. I do not have as many bolts as I need. These are a 1 inch long, 1/4 inch by 20. That just means 1/4 inch diameter, 20 threads per inch. That's one of the sizes I standardize on. I try to do everything the same size so you know what size wrench to grab is basically it. This will be a 7/16 wrench just because you do it often enough. So yeah, it just turned out that I do not seem to have a whole bunch of these bolts left anymore, and I think I should. So that's kind of annoying. Right. Yeah, 7/16 wrench, and we'll just go. In fact, we could probably just about do that and be done. I can feel it if it's turning. That's plenty tight. Nothing like killing it. And on this, I mean, this isn't aircraft grade, right? It's sucking into the wood a little bit, and this is the same setup as what I used out there, 1/4 inch bolts, flat washer, lock washer, nut. That's what's holding the whole racks together. The distance between here, so what it was, there's a metal lip here, right? So there's enough room to get a 1 inch, 1/4 inch bolt up through there and push it through the hole and have it come out. So the head is up here, okay? That way I can get to the nut easier, okay? Anything longer, I'm gonna run out of clearance basically. There's the hole, you can see it, right? So I'm able to, because the bolt is short enough, reach in, catch the hole, and come out. There isn't much room in here. Okay, I don't know how many times it can start and stop raining, but what I've gotten so far, this set of wires goes to the battery and to here. I'm getting close to rewiring this whole thing, but in the meantime, that's good enough. I think what I want to do is have one wire coming from the battery to a screw terminal like that, and then that screw terminal can go to both of the charge controllers. It's just awkward to have that many wires on a terminal. Now you still need the big wire that goes to the inverter and so on, but I think I could pull some of these wires off of the battery and move them over. So one set goes to the battery, one set goes to the screw terminal. This is going to go to the solar panels, same as that one does. This is one of those cool things. The longer clamp has enough bar sticking out, you can hang some wires on it. So when you go to pull your wire, I'll get them going the right way, I guess. Now you can just grab the wire and pull. On this set, I'm going to use the trailer junction box instead of the screw terminal. That way I can put a cover on this and it'll be closed and relatively weather tight. They come with the grommets, and you can run the wire through that, and that I think will match. I don't know if that's in focus or not. That looks better. I think I can run a loom into that grommet, and then you just slide it into the hole like that, and then it makes a nice tight seal when you put the lid on it. And here's the lid. The lid has a channel. Oops. There's a channel around the edge that pretty much seals it. It's pretty good. I don't know if I want to go back and redo those ones again, but that would make it a little neater. First thing I'm going to do is drill some holes in that pipe. What I figured, I'm going to use my Tex screws, which are, oops. So these are a self-tapping short 3/4 inch screw, like that, with a big wide head on it, Phillips head. A 1/2 inch bit is a little bit bigger than this. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to take advantage of the printing, and I'm going to drill on the printing side so that I'm always straight. So I'm going to go through one side, but not the other side. Okay. Through the first side, I'm going to poke a hole in the other side. Just enough with the tip of the spade bit to start the screw in. So I kind of went about that far from the end, so I'm going to try to keep it about even. Okay, now the reason we did that, now I can put a screw on the end of my bit, reach it through the hole, and with any luck I can hit that hole on the other side, like that, right? So now I'm reaching all the way through the pipe. I made just enough hole to get the screw through. That the head of the screw is really wide, so that will keep it from pulling through the pipe. That makes just a really fast way for me to mount that over here. Okay. So I don't want to kill the pipe, I just want it to stay in place. And I'm using this sort of like a really quick way of doing conduit. Because with conduit you'd need to add hangers. Oops. There you go. Now you get something that's going to hang. Now I can grab my wires. I'm going to pull the wires right through the end of the trailer box, right through its grommet already, so that this end is already to go. Of course, it'll try to hit the hole. It's not supposed to hit. No! There we go. Not bad, huh? Yeah, you would have seen that. So from there, I'm going to pull it, kind of guide it with one hand and pull it with the other. And then drop it through this other one that's already here, which was left over from the last set of panels. Just like that. Now if you see this screw terminal, that's for the other set. We're not hooking up to that. So that's not that. I'll give myself a little bit of extra here. This is one of those things where you just got to resist the urge to try to be in a hurry. I'm hoping this PVC stands up a little longer, but if it lasts 2 or 3 years and then I replace it, it's pretty cheap pipe, so that's not a big deal. And this hole saw, I've measured against one of the pipes, and it'll just nicely go. I can push a pipe right through the hole. Good enough. These fittings, they're not electrical fittings, they're plumbing fittings. Typically you can't get a wire to push through that, but if you put it together in pieces, push the wire through and then assemble the pipe after you've pulled the wire through, you can get away with it. And it's good enough for kind of a one-time thing. You wouldn't want to have to push another wire through this after, is the idea. Little recip saw for cutting off your pipes. It's pretty bent. Good enough. Since I've been doing this kind of stuff with plumbing, I'm used to taking a minute to file these edges off. I'm not going to glue this. That's the important thing. I'm not gluing this. So I'm just going to slip fit it on there. And this piece goes through the hole. Okay. I'm going to slip fit it once and then I'll take it apart later to run the wires. That'll work. Okay, now that I got it where I want it, I'm going to make reference marks just so I can get the same lineup next time. And that does not matter too much. I'm also not going to glue this, so that, again, it doesn't matter. But makes it easier. Alright, so that'll be there. Oh, look at that. That'll go to there. How about that? The other thing on the reference marks is that one isn't 45 degrees. I don't know if the angle shows up or not, but one of the things I've been doing on these projects, if it's got writing on it, I try to use that as an alignment line. So I'll try to do it so all of them have the writing going straight. And this one you might get it through the elbow, right? But the other pipe would typically jam you. So by undoing everything, now it's not a big deal. I do have a fish tape, but it doesn't typically work very well through these 90-degree elbows. Like that's not going to go through. Well, maybe it will. We're stuck somewhere though. Yeah, if it doesn't want to cooperate, you just pull it off, pull it up the next one. And just don't fight it, just take it apart, all right? And then this one goes into the box. Now I got to make sure to pull enough through here to get to the next. Like, you probably won't see it, but it's coming through the elbow and then it hits the end of the pipe and it gets stuck. And if you can't see it, you can't fix it. Alright. So, now we can pull it through. Just kind of reach in, smack the rat in the head. So I'm going to need about another 2 feet, looks like. So I'm going to pull it all the way through, terminate the ends over there, and then pull the slack back to this end, which still hasn't been cut. Alright. So we're going to be attaching to this one, which goes out to the solar panels. Two like that. And these are spade terminal, vinyl yellow, 10 to 12 gauge, number 10, 50 pack. Give them a quick twist. Notice there's no wind. I'm not doing voiceover today. This is as it is. This is wonderful. Make sure it sticks out a little bit. Crimp it on good. And try to pull it off. If it doesn't pull off, you're probably okay. There is a long, it's one of those fanatical things, like everybody's got their opinion on stuff. Religion, gun control, crimping or soldering, kind of the same thing. The best argument I've heard recently, because I was a big fan of soldering. Two things. Solder, under high load, builds up heat and will melt. Okay. And I have actually seen solder joints fail where it gets warm enough, the wire just falls off. Oops. That's not good. I'm going to pull this underneath, behind everything, and it'll come up on this side. I'm going to hook up the ground, but not the positive. The charge controller is hooked up to the battery. One of the times I was doing this, I happened to have a multimeter with me. And I realized that the charge controller was sending voltage backwards out towards the solar panel. So I'm not going to hook this one up. So I'm going to just put a quick wrap of tape to hold this end there. It's probably not going to matter much if the wires are exactly the same length or not. But if we can get them, why not, right? So I'm going to hold it there and then come back about 6 inches. Put a wrap out here somewhere just to hold them together. It would be nice in here to loom it, just to keep everything tidy. Maybe one of these days that'll be my project. Not today though. Now at the moment, both charge controllers are hooked up to the same batteries. Okay. So if you're curious about that, yeah, that's what's happening. Now I'm working backwards. I'm going to set myself up with enough slack so if I decide to move this, I'm not struggling. So typically in here, several of these have got a nice solid, foot or two of slack in them. So if I decide to move something, I can. Alright, so I just did a quick loop there. Maybe a little bit, okay. Now I'm going to hold it tight. And then just kind of backtrack all the way up and push the slack this way. Now I can use my reference mark, put this in the same alignment. Alright. Yeah, that's basically where I want it. That'll be close enough, and then this piece I'll just cover up with loom. So we got a little bit of slack if we need it for something. We'll slack up. Now, because I do know where it is, I'm going to go grab a piece of plumber's strap, and I'm going to secure this and this and then I can bury that. If you're looking for it, the official name is galvanized hanging strap. And I've been cutting it with these medic scissors, and that's working great. These are like what your paramedics would use to cut your clothes off. They cut really good through that metal. Now I know nothing's inside the box, and these are really short screws, so if you're curious, I'm just going to try to get this to the point where it doesn't get knocked around too much. There. Good enough. And then I'll do one on this one. And what I was doing off camera, I just take another piece of pipe and kind of wrap it around and make a P shape. I don't know, there's probably a right way to do it, and that's not it, but that's how I did it. There. Later on, I'll go back and do all the other ones. And we got all that slack, so we'll just pull it up. Now I'm pulling everything back towards the roll. Now this is going to move, so I'm going to leave some slack because I need to be able to adjust this panel all the way down and all the way up. So I'm going to leave a little bit, and we'll just loom that. And I gotta say, this is one of those fun accidental discoveries. Using that clamp is just the coolest thing ever. Keeps the wire close by. I'll leave a little bit of slack here, and then I lost my... Having the workbenches close just makes it nice. Usually I don't take the time to do that. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of slack again, like that. And we're using the same ends again. So I'll do the strip. I am trying to stay in the habit of catching all the pieces. As a former aircraft guy, you don't just cut something and let it fly. Totally wouldn't matter out here, but I hate seeing the trash. You know, you come back out later and you see that one little red tip of something, you cut the wire off. That just bugs me. I hate to think of a rabbit or somebody eating that because it looks cool. So I'm just trying to pick up all my pieces and when I see them. And I feel really bad, really, honestly. There's a bunch of new growth bushes down, or not bushes, but I don't know what they are, probably weeds. It's probably the things I'm allergic to. But all this stuff is growing and blooming under my feet and I'm just trampling it, so sorry. Alright. Now these are trailer boxes for like if you were wiring your trailers, right? So they've got labeling, red and black. That's actually for a specific thing. Now I'm just going to go ahead and use red and black. So I'm going to hook all my reds to one and my blacks to the other. There's red. And this is another one of those things where these cheap, like Harbor Freight has these, but I think I got this one somewhere else. It's a change bit screwdriver, you pop the tip out. These work really good on hose clamps. They just also happen to fit the terminals in the trailer boxes. So you just pull the tip off and it'll be a nut driver. Right. I'm going to pull the slack out the other end for now. Still red, yep. Since red is positive, I'll just use that for red. Now, I'm going to wire these solar panels tomorrow, probably. And I'm going to do them all in parallel, so all the reds are going to hook together and all the blacks are going to hook together. Plus, I'm going to pick up another wire that goes to the other panel that's not out there yet. And same thing, all the reds and all the blacks. Alright. Yeah, 7-conductor box. So I could do 2 or 3 other circuits in here if I could think of something else to use it for. You know, because it's made for hooking up the lights on your trailers. You know, so you got, you know, your left turn, your right turn, your brake, electric brakes, an auxiliary, and ground. You know, so you could have all these different things hooked up. There is an arrow printed on the inside. These holes are not exactly symmetrical for some reason. So look for the arrow inside and then it'll go on. Otherwise it won't. Fairly long screw. I'm not going to run it too tight. It's just faster with a power driver. Good enough. And these I mounted to the 2x4 with those same Tech screws, self-tapping screws. And we're ready. So tomorrow when I bring the panels out, this is all ready to go. Kind of fun, right? Cool.